on locations throughout the world.
Standing passengers, please do not lean against the doors.
Picture goers, we bring to you new films of interest.
Chicago in State is next. Doors open on the left.
The miracle of the motion picture.
Please be considerate when talking on your phone or listening to electronic devices.
Chicago's a nice town if you're looking for pizza.
Welcome to 4 Stars, a Chicago film podcast, a podcast where we talk about movies set in Chicago. I'm one of your hosts, Jeremy Martyr, General Manager of the Heights Theater.
And I'm Paco Alvarez, a journalist based in Chicago. And on today's episode, we are doing a first impressions episode on a newly released movie. And this episode, it is The Bride, directed by Maggie Gyllenhaal. Should I have said that more like The Bride?
The Bride!
Do they ever where's the Bride?
Here comes the motherfucking podcast.
That's a good point.
There we go.
Yeah. The Bride, a newly released movie set somewhat in Chicago.
Set for a little bit in Chicago. 1930s Chicago, to be clear. An adaptation of Mary Shelley's, Frankenstein world.
Yes. And set in the Frankenstein
world
universe.
created by Mary Shelley. There
Yes.
we go.
Yeah, from the world of... From the book
From the
of Mary Shelley.
twisted mind of Mary Shelley.
That is kind of what the vibe of the movie is.
100%. Can you believe how sick and twisted the mind of Mary Shelley is? And then watching The Bride of Frankenstein, the original, it's like, I did this on a lark.
Yeah.
You all had to see how monstrous you were.
Yes.
While I sit at my loom or whatever is happening in the beginning of that movie. We're here today to talk about Maggie Gyllenhaal. We're here to talk about Frankenstein as a whole. Where do you want to dig in?
Where do we want to start? The Bride.
The Bride.
The Bride. Let's talk about, since I think both of us leading up to The Bride, since this was not our usual episodes, and on first impressions, we will just watch a movie that's newly released and we won't do that much research on it. Though, of course, both of us, we do research on it, but in a different way, since there's not that much about the making of it. And in the lead up to this movie, I think we both had a bit of a Frankenstein week watching other Frankenstein adaptations. And so maybe we can go through some of those and our thoughts and about those movies, and then maybe bring in The Bride and talk about how it plays against them, sort of with them, stuff like that.
Sounds good.
So, Jeremy, which Frankenstein movies did you watch in the lead up to The Bride?
That's a good question. Thank you for asking. I watched the 1910 Edison Frankenstein, long considered lost, then rediscovered, and watched that. I watched the two James Whale Frankensteins, Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein. I watched 15 minutes of Kenneth Branagh's Mary Shelley's Frankenstein before turning it off. Not really out of anger, just being like, I can't handle this right now. Although I was kind of intrigued by it. We'll talk about it because you watched it, right?
Yes, I did watch it. Yes.
Okay, and then that more had to do with circumstances in my life. I watched Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein.
Oh, interesting. You watched Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein.
I watched Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein. Yes. Why do you ask?
I'm just gonna put a clip in here, and then you can figure it out later.
I didn't see Frankenstein. I've just opted out of having an opinion on it.
So yeah, you watched. Are those other? I guess how many other? There's so many.
Oh, I watched Corpse Bride.
Yeah, I guess that counts.
Tim Burton's Corpse Bride. Less of a bride as I just remembered it more as a Bride of Frankenstein. I thought she had the hair and everything, but no. It is literally just a Frankenweenie is more of a Frankenstein story than Corpse Bride, but Corpse Bride had the word bride in it, so I watched that one instead. And those are what did you watch, Paco?
I think I watched pretty much. I mean, I watched half of that Edison one because it's 10 minutes long. But it was kind of boring, honestly. But we can.
Did you get to the transformation scene?
I got to the monster. Yes,
that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was cool. That was cool. It was
Okay,
just like,
well-
why is this taking so long? Okay, but anyway. And I did not watch the original, like not the original, but the first James Whale one. I haven't seen that one in a while, but I did watch the sequel, Bride of Frankenstein, and then I've watched the full Branagh version, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, and I also watched the Del Toro. I guess should we just go in chronological order, talking about each?
Yeah,
of them,
let's do that.
Yeah, so the Edison one. So it was lost for a while.
Yeah, the Edison one was lost for many years, and then rediscovered and sort of stitched together. I found it pretty engaging for an Edison. You know, those early films are very basic and don't usually have as much like special effects as this one did.
Yeah.
I really found the transformation sequence really engaging. They took like a wax figure and clearly melted it down or burnt
Mhm.
it, and then put it in reverse. They Tenet. They
Yeah.
basically had the same idea of Tenet of just
Yeah.
like putting shit in reverse is cool.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much all I have to say about that. Other than I have a thing to say about it later when we talk about Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein. But otherwise, what did you think of the first 5 minutes of that?
I mean, it's just whenever you watch something that old, you have to like one of the struggles is you have to like get in the mindset of like what was the context that people were watching this in, and like what pacing were they used to, what sorts of things. I don't know, but as a modern viewer, I think it takes a while to get going, given that, which is honestly an issue with a lot of Frankenstein adaptations, that it takes a while to get to the monster. It's just funny within this like 10-minute short. It's just like you don't see it for like 4 minutes, you know?
Yeah.
Like there's not that much time on these one reelers, and like the fact that you're spending like 3 minutes of like Frankenstein in college just like at his desk like not talking because it's a silent movie, it's just kind of funny. I am curious like what, since it was lost for a long time, I wonder what the reception was at the time. I mean, I guess like movie going and presentation was so different back then that who knows what.
I don't think it had that much of an impact. It's more of an interesting cultural object now that Frankenstein is so important. Although, I found certain things very creepy about his design, and his design being so different than our conception of what Frankenstein looks like.
Yeah,
you know, and the fact that this was lost media, the ways in which it did not impact things for many years, and the way that the Boris Karloff James Whale one is more of a it's so impactful on the way that our idea and our conception of the creature is. Before we talk about that, though, have you read Mary Shelley's Frankenstein?
No, there was a brief moment last week where I was like, should I read the book? And then I have too much. I have too many other books that I'm reading before they're due to the library, and then I have too much work to actually read it. So that's why I watched Branagh's version. I was kind of like, I'll just watch as many Frankensteins as I can, and that'll make up for not reading the book.
Not reading the book.
Yeah.
Because I actually I've never read the book.
Okay.
I've never read a book. And I wasn't going to start this week. No, I'm spending all my time in Shyamalan Sparks territory. I don't know how accurate any of these stories are to the book. Like I see a bunch. I go on Letterboxd, and I'll like see someone's 5-star review of the James Whale one being like, wow, this is so different than the book, or they changed this, they changed that. I'm not coming at these from that knowledge base personally, but I do find how literary, how different each adaptation is, up to and including The Bride.
Yeah, definitely. I think that, I mean, based on what I've read of others saying, so this is sort of pointless information, but I know that the James Whale one is not accurate to the book at all. I think like both Del Toro and Branagh both were trying to like make like this is the most close adaptation of the book. I feel like that was like kind of like the Del Toro thing that was part of the marketing as well. So it is interesting to note the differences between the two. But both of them have the Antarctica stuff, which I think like that stuff, or is it, or like the North Pole, whatever, where the snow stuff. That stuff I think is like almost never adapted, usually. But yeah, I do think it's interesting that here's this, obviously one of the most influential novels when it comes to like horror and fantasy, and there have been so many adaptations of it, and there's still no one ever gets like, it's hard. I guess it's ultimately that's the issue with like adaptations in general. You're never gonna get like the exact thing unless it's something sort of like No Country for Old Men, which was like, I think it like started as a script, then became a novel, and then became the movie, and it's like there are those situations, but I think generally like with works of literature adaptation, that's like the fun part, is like seeing where you can and can't do stuff.
Yeah.
But speaking of lost media, I do want to just talk 1 second about there's that cool how do you pronounce his name? George Méliès.
Millet, yeah.
I just keep thinking Millet of the president of Argentina, Méliès. The short that they found recently that was lost about like with the first robot. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah. That was pretty cool. The one that was restored by the National Library, the Library of Congress.
Yeah. So that's cool. I don't know. It's always fun when they find something old that.
I agree. I find it. I love that lost media Wikipedia. I love seeing pieces being filled in. I love the idea that like there's old reels sitting in some projectionist's basement.
Yeah.
That will, when they pass away, their kids will just give all those reels to someone, and it'll include the lost works of Oscar Micheaux or someone.
Yeah.
It's really, really interesting. And the work of archivists, I will just say, is so remarkable. We need less people who think they're the next Tarantino, and we need more people who think they want to be in that world of archivism and archivism? That's not a word.
I think it might be.
Archivism? It just sounded weird coming out of my mouth.
Yeah, just like in the archives.
Yeah, exactly. In those dusty basements.
Yeah, archivism, yeah.
Nailed it. I didn't know that Junji Ito did a Frankenstein adaptation.
Oh, interesting.
That won a huge award. I would have read that.
Huh.
I'm on the little Wikipedia page of different adaptations.
Well, the other thing about Frankenstein is that there's so many things that even if they're not a direct adaptation, they're playing with it.
Right.
A movie I watched, I think in October, this past October, May. Is that Lucky McGee? Oh no, Lucky McGee. Yeah. McKee. May it ends up being like have you seen that?
No, I have not. It's long been on my list.
It's very good. It's very fun. It ends up as a Frankenstein adaptation at the end, sort of like secretly. So there's stuff like that. A lot of, anything where it involves, stitching up together body parts and making a new human, I think could be kind of considered a Frankenstein adaptation.
Yeah. Talking
about adaptations and sort of like the weird ways that you can consider whether or not you consider something an adaptation or not. It's, I'm slowly trying to watch as many adaptations of the Odyssey as I can before the Odyssey comes out this summer. And I feel like that's so difficult because it's like, well, sort of everything is an adaptation of the Odyssey, right? Like anything with a journey home, like.
So you're gonna watch Joe Dirt, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna watch Joe Dirt. I'm gonna watch what's the Homeward Bound? Of course.
Homeward Bound, kind of an Odyssey story. Yeah, exactly. There should be a Chicago Odyssey.
I'm sure I'm sure we could count like the Blues Brothers. Like,
yeah, exactly. Well, we'll see the ways in which Frankenstein and the Odyssey reverberate through the Chicago universe.
Yeah.
I think like the ones like those sort of side adaptations are some other examples are the Reanimator series.
Mm-hmm.
Which I really like. There's even a Bride of the Reanimator, which I have not watched.
Yeah.
But right before this podcast, I was looking at that page going, damn, there's a Brian Easna Bride of Reanimator that the guy who made Society. I should have watched that. Damn.
Yeah.
But that's okay. There's so many movies. There's like the Hammer films, The
Yeah.
Curse of Frankenstein with Christopher Lee. I will say, in watching both Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein back to back, I have a lot of respect and admiration for the works of James Whale,
Mhm.
a truly great filmmaker, who most likely was cut off from making films due to his homosexuality.
Yeah.
And outwardness, being out. Honestly,
Yeah.
there was a lot of gay directors back then who were quiet about it
Mhm.
and just had roommates. But James Whale was very out and proud, and his career was cut off.
Should we talk about the whale movies?
Sure, yeah. The go ahead.
I was just gonna say, what did you watch it as a kid? I'm curious.
I was put in front of many old movies, to either during the run up to Halloween or, just to calm me down probably. But I don't remember like being a big fan of them. I know like the Universal monster movies I've seen, maybe the Wolfman or Dracula or, uh, I caught a few of them in college with like some interesting scoring done, by artists, but I haven't like sat down and watched all of the Universal monster movies. No.
Yeah,
What
me
about you?
neither. Me neither. I feel like they're just a part of the culture, or like or for a long time they were just like the thing you think about when you think of horror movies. But I really haven't seen many of them. But I watched Frankenstein. I specifically remember watching Frankenstein in 7th grade, I think. Our teacher was like starting to like, oh, like I'll show you movies and you write essays about them. And then apparently a bunch of people plagiarized for the Frankenstein essay, so then we never watched movies again. But I remember liking
Damn.
it.
Do you know what's kind of a Frankenstein story?
What?
Der Golem.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like a golem story.
It's like a golem story. I get it, but it's kind of like, Mary Shelley's kind of a hack. She's kind of stealing from
I feel that.
no, but like a you have a creator who thinks they're God
Yeah.
and creates a creature that ends up attacking them. That is an age-old story, right? And a story that has been told again and again in history. And Mary Shelley put a lot of shades of sympathy into the monster.
Well, we don't. Neither of us has read the book. Who knows?
Fuck, she might hate that.
Yeah.
monster.
What if she fucking hates the monster?
She's like, this disgusting guy attacked a simple, beautiful doctor.
Yeah. That's sort of
no,
what
I
the
think, like-
Branagh version is about.
Is that?
Yeah, kind of.
All right. I watched the first 15 minutes and I was like, this is too much editing.
Yeah.
So I'm going to turn this off. My eyes are bleeding.
Yeah, it does not stop.
I know that people really like that movie. So I want to give it a chance. I don't want to just drive by it. But what was your opinion of the Branagh movie?
Well, I want to talk about the whale.
The whales.
The
Yeah, okay,
thing
that's fair.
About the whales.
I really, really liked rewatching Frankenstein 1931. I thought that it was really evocative. Those shots, those close-ups that Whale does, where like like the main character sort of in the center of the frame. It's so interesting and modern looking. I thought that Boris Karloff, obviously so iconic. And it's just like one of those things that you've seen parodied again and again and again,
Yeah.
and yet when you watch it, there's so many like shades of it.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much detail that there's so much weird moments that I didn't, I was never told or never saw coming. I thought that the cinematography in those scenes or in that movie and Bride, to be honest, is just astonishing.
Yeah.
The way that it looks. Overall, just very blown away by Frankenstein 1931. And I honestly adored watching Bride of Frankenstein.
Yes, it's very good. I guess like since I didn't I should have rewatched the first one. But I watched Bride, and I remember watching it. I think you had a similar experience to my first time watching it, which was I watched it a few years ago, and I remember thinking the whole time like, "Where's the bride? like that's the title of the movie. Where's the bride? Like you keep
She's-
wondering where the bride's gonna be.
And honestly, it's kind of what all the adaptations of Frankenstein are about, including most literally the bride,
Yeah.
the male loneliness epidemic.
Yeah. That's a good point.
So, he's like, I am sick of rampaging. I want to smoke some weed.
Yeah.
I want to drink some booze. And I want love, baby. Bring it on. That's what the Bride of Frankenstein is about. And that being the title of it, it's like, wow, he really wants a bride. He's looking for a bride. The absence of a bride she's kind of throughout the whole movie.
Yeah, definitely.
And then when she appears,
It's so awesome.
she's so cool.
Yeah.
I was like, damn, I wish I could get in her twisted mind.
Mhm.
What is she thinking? What if she was like in 1930s Chicago? What sort of fucked up things is she thinking? Like,
Is she thinking about other words that work reminds her of? Maybe.
oh wow. And then she's switching accents and then going into a rant. We'll get into it. Sorry.
But yeah, I feel like spoilers for the Bride of Frankenstein. But she doesn't show up for, I think, literally till the last minute. You don't really see her until then either. I mean, her presence is so amazing, and her shrieks are so devastating. Like when she looks at him and like just starts screaming, and like you see the look of pain on his face, and he realizes like, I've done the same thing that they did to me.
Yeah.
Like I didn't ask to be, like, I'm a monster. I didn't want to be here, and now I've done the same thing to someone. I don't know. It's such a good movie. Yeah, I don't know. It's such a good performance. But
I also love in both movies that that the monsters are credited as question mark.
Mhm.
Like it's like, who is playing the monster? That's so funny.
Yeah.
And bizarre. Who actually does play the bride? What's her name?
She plays also Mary Shelley at the opening of the movie.
Oh, okay. Cool. Good for her. Dual role.
Yeah. Similar to the Bride of to the Bride. Kind of.
The bride.
But I don't know. I think there's another movie from the 70s called The Bride, but I think generally The Bride is not a big part of or like the image of the Bride of Frankenstein is just from that 1 minute, and I don't know if she appears in like other movies.
It's more than 1 minute.
I think it's literally the last minute. You think
it's
like
it's
2
like
minutes?
5 minutes. It's 5 minutes. Because she's like twitching and stuff and reacting to him. It feels like a minute because it's so late in the movie, but
Yeah.
yeah, her hair is iconic. That streak of white.
Mhm.
What's that disease called? Not disease, but that condition called when you have like a streak of white in your hair?
You
know what I'm talking
it's
about?
called being Rogue from X-Men.
Exactly.
Like she could take the other X-Men's powers.
Whoa, is Rogue kind of?
Oh, bride coded? I don't. She's not
No,
like a.
let's not get into that. Let's
yeah.
not get into that. Actually,
Mutants aren't monsters, first of all. So that's...
first of all, check yourself. I don't know. I watched Corpse Bride as well.
yes.
In the wind up to this, and I've seen Frankenweenie. Tim Burton in general is quite obsessed with the works of James Whale, the Hammer, more of the Hammer films, to be honest, the 50s stuff, but and then the 30s, the 20s and the 30s, German Expressionism, clearly. I found that movie to be lifeless.
Interesting.
The songs to be bad.
I don't. I remember. I watched it definitely as a kid. I don't remember a single thing about it.
I really liked it as a kid, and I was rewatching it, going like, when is it gonna get good? And I remember not really liking Frankenweenie either. I saw Frankenweenie on a date. I know. Wait, holding for applause. Not coming. I remember being on a date for that movie, and I was in Colombia, and it was a dubbed version, and I really was not ready for that. Like I didn't understand what was going on, and I was visually the thing that in a Tim Burton movie I was expecting, because at that point he hadn't fallen off. Culturally,
Debatable.
culturally. Not of course his movies had gotten worse, but I think his reputation was still intact, even if he had made some bad movies.
Everyone was still waiting, like, okay, like there'll be a good one.
Yeah, exactly. And I just remember us being very bored and being awkward, sweaty teenagers, and neither of us making a move and just sitting there awkwardly.
Mm-hmm.
And watching a movie that neither of us really liked, and then walking home afterwards. But 4 or 5 out of 10, I don't know. Kind of a bad experience. Corpse Bride, there's stuff I really like about it, but I think that the animation is pretty rough in it, because they try to clean up. That was actually a very early Leica production.
Mm-hmm.
And they tried to clean up a lot of the things that make stop motion interesting, like the handprints on any claymation, like any wires or anything that like it they cleaned it up a little bit too much. They made it look a little hermetic. And there's instead of like replacing the heads like they did on Nightmare Before Christmas,
Mm-hmm.
they like basically would go in the back and like change the expression of the puppets little by little. So the actual expression of the mouth range on those stop motion is actually not that much. They're actually like they're barely opening their mouth when they're talking, and it makes it a little bit boring.
Interesting.
They're kind of just flapping. And I just kept noticing it this time and being kind of bummed out. Although the bride herself, she moves so interestingly and is such a compelling figure.
Who plays her?
Am I wrong in saying Catherine O'Hara?
It's Helena Bonham Carter. Of course.
Of course it's Helena
We
Bonham
could've just
Carter.
thought
Am I
about it for 2 seconds.
fucking stupid? Jesus. Am I right that Catherine O'Hara's in this movie? She's not in this movie.
Wow.
Oh, it's because she's the lead of Nightmare Before Christmas.
Interesting.
There we go.
Oh,
Okay.
interesting. Corpse Bride drew inspiration from a 17th century Jewish folktale.
Which one?
I don't know.
The Corpse Bride?
Yeah, of course. The
Oh,
classic.
okay, got it. And I think that Corpse Bride, kind of similarly to Nightmare Before Christmas, was mostly directed by someone else. Nightmare Before Christmas was fully directed by Henry Selick, and Tim Burton would check in every once in a while and be like, "It's going well here." And I think the same thing happened on Corpse Bride, with the director being Mike Johnson, that nobody remembers. Anywho.
No,
Any other?
Yeah, literally the tale of a corpse bride, apparently.
Yeah. The Tale of a Corpse Bride. Cool. Shout out Jews and our ability to tell stories. Paco, do you want to talk about The Unspeakable film? The one that I was never going to watch?
Let me actually talk, since we brought up Helena Bonham Carter, I do want to mention she is in Branagh's Frankenstein.
Oh yeah. Let's talk about Branagh.
So Branagh's Frankenstein, I think at the time was sort of like considered like, okay, every like 10 to 15 years, Hollywood is like, okay, this time we're going to bring back the Universal monsters, and like they're going to be so successful again. I feel like every 10 to 15 years they try to do this shit. And Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, I think came on the tails of, is that the term? Like came...
Yeah,
right,
on the tail of...
Yeah, on the tail of Bram Stoker's Dracula, the Coppola movie.
Super sexy monsters, yeah.
Yeah, so I feel like they were trying to do like, okay, like let's bring back, like let's do an adaptation of Frankenstein, have it be closer to the book, because the original movie isn't really like that at all, and have Kenneth Branagh do it. And it just doesn't... I was kind of ready to really like it, and it's just very... It sort of suffers from like the exact opposite of the Del Toro movie, where like everything like moves a little bit too fast, and there's pretty much no room for character development. and Brana plays Victor Frankenstein, and he's like almost completely unwilling to really like show him doing any of like negative stuff, which is the exact opposite of the Del Toro version, which is just like, this guy's evil, this guy's bad. You know, Brana is like too like swept up in like being the hero of the story, and to the detriment of the monster character, who ends up being played by Robert De Niro, who ends up being like almost like completely evil. There's like one sympathetic scene with the old man, which they have in Bride of Frankenstein. They also have in the Del Toro one. But it just ends up being, it didn't work for me. And then also the movie is very distracting. You mentioned like the editing was too much for you. It's just like every 5 minutes, he'll just do a scene where the camera just like goes in a circle around everyone. There's just so many whirlwinds happening at every single moment. But they do have near the end of the movie, maybe the only part that I generally liked. So Helena Bonham Carter plays Victor Frankenstein's like childhood love, and near the end of the movie they get married, and after Brana refuses to make a bride for the monster, offensive. After Brana refuses to make a bride for the monster, he kills Helena Bonham Carter in a kind of crazy way, and then Brana in he's incredibly depressed, and he brings her back to life, and she's the bride, and there's a cool scene where she's like, Victor wants her to go to him, the monster wants her to go to him, they kind of like fight it out, and then she ends up killing herself because she realizes like this is like she doesn't want to just be stuck between these two guys. She didn't want to she didn't want to die, but she also didn't want to come back to life. It wasn't her choice. But overall the movie is not very good. I was not a huge fan. I think watching that one and the Del Toro one, I think I just realized that I don't know if I care that much about Frankenstein, like as a concept.
I was having this struggle while watching these movies again, where I'm like, I like the sort of old monster movie feeling of like rampaging around a town.
Mm-hmm.
And I was watching let's talk about the Del Toro, because there's stuff about the Del Toro movie that I like. I don't want to just completely sideswipe it. The Del Toro movie is obviously gorgeous. Like it just is production design wise, and that's true about all of the Del Toro movies, right? His misses, in my opinion, they look pretty. I like design wise where they're going. I was thinking that a lot during The Bride, being like, I wish that this looked a little bit more like the Del Toro production design. But anyway, the Del Toro movie is just takes far too long to get into the idea of like, this is a tale being told from two different sides, two different perspectives, and then it just has this really garish CGI.
Yeah,
that really is at odds with like the craft that's going into the costumes and the makeup. I don't know. That's how I felt. Like really watching the opening, I was really bummed out.
Yeah,
with him attacking all the sailors and doing these like, I don't know. It felt like I was watching Frankenstein.
Yeah,
like I was like, what the fuck is this? And then it like calmed down for a little bit, and it starts to be like characters monologuing and speaking in riddles or whatever, and waxing poetic, and then I like calmed down for a little bit, and then I was pretty embarrassed while watching the Oscar Isaac performance and the Christopher not Christopher Walken, oh my god,
Christoph Waltz.
There we go.
Christopher
Walken would have killed that role, by the way.
He would have been really good.
Christoph Waltz and I really just kept thinking like we really gave this man 2 Oscars. We did that. That happened. I was bummed out watching that part of the movie. The whole like tower explosion looked really shitty.
Yeah.
The wolves look really bad.
Really bad. Yeah. Just all the actiony stuff. It just felt
the
like,
blood, the CGI blood. Anytime they would like crunch something, it was so obvious that they had used a real like practical effect for like the breaking of the bones, but then like they would CGI over it. So just to like blend it and it would look bad. So, I don't know.
Yeah. I think I was kind of ready to like the movie just because everyone's such a Del Toro hater. And I generally
me too. I think we talked about it during our episode on the festival.
Yeah.
That I was like, I'm sure I will fucking like this shit.
Yeah.
And I was, this is the first time upon release of a Del Toro movie that I've just like not been on board. And maybe one day I'll watch it again and be like, oh, there's more going on. But like right now I had very little patience for it.
Yeah. It was just so slow. It just takes forever. And you're right about the Isaac. I can't tell if it's like the performance or just like the way that Victor is characterized. Because it's like, he's just not an interesting character in the movie. He's just like pure evil. Like it's just like Del Toro took the concept that Victor is the real monster and just like from the beginning, he's kind of a bad person who you don't.
Yeah, and like the point is that the first half you're supposed to be sympathetic to him, and the second half you're supposed to see him as a monster. And I was like, you missed out on that.
Yeah,
that's not at all what's happening.
Yeah.
And I also just was like, I don't know. I wanted it. I know there was like an interview where Del Toro and Oscar Isaac are talking about their love of like Mexican soap operas and like these like other influences that are like non-European, right? And then I was watching the movie going like, where is that? Like, that should have been more of your take, because this seems so like regal and so like buttoned up and so formal and I don't know. I really thought that everyone was miscast except for Elordi.
I think he was good.
Elordi was good. I thought that like Oscar Isaac was horribly miscast. And I thought that what's her face, Mia Goth was like, I mean, give her something to work with. Like, she's a very interesting actress, even in movies I don't like.
I know. It's so weird to get her and then not let her do any freaky shit. Like that's why you get Mia Goth is like you
Mia Goth in a Guillermo del Toro movie.
Yeah, like you get her to do weird shit and like she's just so boring throughout.
I know.
Let her fuck the monster.
There needed to be something. I don't know.
Yeah. It just
I thought she was going to turn to the bride at the end. Did you think that?
Yeah, I also thought that. I assumed that must happen, and then
because Elordi comes in being like, I want a partner.
Yeah,
and I was like, oh, no,
they just kill her. It was, it just takes so long to get to the monster, and that's the most interesting part for me of any Frankenstein adaptation is the monster. Especially when you, as you mentioned, you structure it around like, okay, you first you get his side, then you get the other side, but like you spend so much time with Oscar Isaac as Victor that the monster stuff feels really rushed, you know? At least like, the stuff in the cabin takes its time to develop his relationship with the old man.
I actually quite liked that.
Which was pretty good. But then none of the kind of like emotional climaxes of when he comes back to the castle, like you don't feel like any of those because it feels really rushed. Because like it feels like, okay, they barely knew each other, you know?
Yeah,
like
it's
they barely
both
interacted.
too slow and sped up, and
it was just kind of a mess.
I liked all those scenes with Elordi in the cabin, like looking at the family, trying to imagine a better life for himself, reading books.
Yeah,
I liked that stuff. I like when like the monster starts speaking eloquently. Like I think that's, from what I know, the book is like, right?
Yeah.
Is like the monster learning how to, get into romantic poetry. So like, but like, I don't need him sitting up there reading Ozymandias. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, it's like crossing your T and dotting your I a little bit too much, and
Also that makes it confusing because it's like, okay, so Mary Shelley exists in this world because that's her husband's poem.
Right. And I'm okay with that confusion or whatever, but like,
it'd be funny if the movie had Victor reading Frankenstein and be like, oh, I should do this.
yeah, exactly. But overall, yeah, I will continue to be on the Del Toro train.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I love him dearly, and I want him to make weird, odd objects. I don't need him to make Oscar bait, and this felt a little bit too, in that, like, it felt too safe. Like, it's like we already know what a Del Toro Frankenstein movie is going to be. Like,
yeah.
You could just imagine it, and then whatever you're thinking, that's it. That's what the movie is. There's nothing surprising about his Frankenstein. There's nothing that grabbed me. There's nothing that like compelled me to watch his version. So
yeah, and I feel like what I appreciate about Del Toro's movies often is like, the amount of detail he puts into the world. And the thing about Frankenstein is it's mostly like just the normal world, and the weird stuff is the monster and Victor and like his relationship to science and stuff. But like it felt so like bland otherwise, like the kind of period drama of it all, as opposed to a lot of his other movies where even something like Nightmare Alley, which is a movie I enjoyed even though most people didn't, like all the circus stuff, all the carnival stuff is really good. And I did wonder if if you last year or a year and a half ago, I guess it was last year, Robert Eggers, that's his name, right? Not David Eggers, the author. Robert Eggers' Nosferatu was released. And I was fine with that movie. I didn't like it that much. I think you might have liked it more than me. But
I like it. I don't love it. I like it.
I sort of feel like they maybe should have like switched projects, I sort of feel like Del Toro would have been better with the kind of world and atmosphere of a Dracula type adaptation, and Eggers would have been better with like all like the weird sciencey stuff of a Frankenstein thing. Because like I do think like that's an aspect of Frankenstein that, at least in the adaptations I watched, wasn't super evident, which is like I think what the novel does, or like what it's one of its innovations was historically, was like it's one of the first works of like science fiction, and like taking this like at the time newly developed mindset of like how to talk about science, or like how to do science, and adapt it to kind of like a fictive form, And I think like I think someone like Eggers, who's really interested in like that historical specificity, could have been interesting leaning into that. Did you ever watch? Have you watched The Nick?
Yeah, I actually really like The Nick.
Like, it would be cool to have a Frankenstein with that kind of aspects to it, like really, really gross.
Yeah, and I liked that aspect of Del Toro's where you could see like the ligaments in the hand, and like the academic side where like the body, like got up and started screaming. You know what I mean? Like, so I liked those moments. I wish that it did anything with that. And and there was other stuff where it's like I'm not automatically out on CGI. Like I liked the CGI Angel of Death creature. Like I'm like, if you're gonna do CGI, do it weird. Don't use it to replicate what looks real. You know what I mean? It's always my take on CGI. It's like use it to look unreal.
Yeah.
But I understand what you mean about doing like a Nick style Frankenstein, and I think that The Bride is trying to go for a little bit of that.
I agree.
I think it is failing miserably.
Yes.
I think some of the worst scenes of The Bride is when it's trying to be that. Anyway, do you want to switch gears?
Yeah, let's talk about the thing that we were supposed to talk about this whole time. Let's talk about The Bride. Maggie Gyllenhaal.
Oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy.
Okay, so you sit down to watch The Bride.
Yeah.
First thing that happens is black and white Jessie Buckley.
First thing I think is it black and white Jessie Buckley, or is it a thing about how the bride was written on a dare?
Oh, Frankenstein was written on a dare.
Sorry,
yes,
that's what I meant. Frankenstein was written on a dare.
Yes. It's yeah, that's true. The epigraph of the movie. And it's Jessie Buckley as Mary Shelley in some kind of like
Liminal space.
Discuss
the recesses of her mind.
Yeah, saying that she never finished Frankenstein because she wanted to write further about his bride. And then she begins. I honestly like a lot of the logic in this movie is kind of lost on me. Also, it's been almost 24 hours and I've already forgotten a lot of the plot.
This is going to be a huge problem because I was driving home being like, how am I going to podcast a movie that's already left my brain completely?
Yeah. Then she brings up Ida, who's the 1930s character, and I guess like possesses her somewhat. They have some kind of connection that's never explained, and she possesses her in like a she's at a bar with a bunch of mobsters. And she starts
having an episode.
Yeah, just having an episode, just monologuing about all the evil that the big mobster guy has done. Her name is Ida. The mobster's guy's name is Lupino. It's a nice reference to Ida Lupino.
What does that have to do with anything?
I don't know.
But there's a lot of references to early filmmaking and filmmakers, and
there's a lot of references in general. Yes,
there's a lot of references.
She also keeps saying the phrase "I prefer not to," which is from the Herman Melville short story Bartleby the Scrivener. Very good if you haven't read it. And
Melville, Whale, James Whale, Frankenstein. We're back.
Yes, yeah. But the thing, obviously, this is a really stupid thing to gripe about in a movie that has a million stupid things to gripe about. I don't understand why she keeps saying I prefer not to. Like, I don't like. Is it just like it's just like a literature reference?
There's a lot of just like literature, like first semester English class literature references.
Yeah, you know what this reminds me of? You know what this reminds me? I just realized I have this really embarrassing notebook that my parents bought me. It's this that I sometimes, it's a journal. It's called a writer's journal that I sometimes use to take notes in movies, but I will never show this to anyone because it's horrible. But we're gonna put a picture of it in the
of course we're going to absolutely put you on blast.
And it's called a writer's journal, and it has a bunch of famous writers, but like in like, let me take the thing off.
Bit of a twisted style. Yeah. I'll explain what I'm seeing. Ooh, oh, and you know what? They're a little bit cool. I see Mark Twain with some sick shades. Who's that? Who's got the star over his eye?
Proust.
Proust with the star over his eye. Wow. And then who's got the David Bowie strike across his face?
Oh no, sorry, that was Proust. The star was Kurt Vonnegut.
It was Vonnegut. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
Yeah.
Who we talked about at length in our last episode.
Yes.
Interesting. Wow.
This is really bride coded, right?
This is bride coded.
It's kind of like English teacher trying to relate to teenagers. That's kind of the vibe of a lot of the movie.
A lot of it felt like that. There was almost an interesting idea. I think that this movie is full of almost interesting ideas.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think that the movie is supposed to be about this, but it really doesn't get into it. Is sort of mental illness that specifically afflicted women, like hysteria, sort of sexual repression, sexual transmitted diseases, things that like affected women's health for years due to lack of medical services geared towards them, and the ways in which women were perceived in society.
Yeah.
Especially bipolar disorder, things like this, right? Going through manic episodes, mania, right? I think that it's trying to do that for a second, and then isn't really about it. Like it then shies away from that, and then it's trying to do a thing about the male loneliness epidemic, and then it sort of instead like he's sort of incel-y. Victor, is that his name?
Frank.
Yeah, Frank. Sorry,
Victor's his father.
Victor's his dad. You're right. You want to settle that debate right now? The monster is Victor Frankenstein. Solved. Maybe you are the monster, as Jacob Elordi said to Oscar Isaac.
No, it's not him. It's his brother. William.
It's his brother who says
that.
that.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe you are in fact the monster
And then
all
he dies.
along.
Yeah.
I have headbang disease. That actor who played the brother, terrible.
Pretty much
Terrible.
That's yeah.
But talking about The Bride, this isn't the worst movie I've ever seen, but I had secondhand embarrassment watching this movie. I was like quite shocked at how bad the movie was. It's not that it's the worst movie ever, or that like moment to moment, or that there's not like style. And if someone likes this movie, I wouldn't say, I would maybe ask some questions, but like I saw a few friends of mine give this high ratings. And I agree. I usually like movies that are big swings, and this is a big swing, but it's a big swing and a miss, like a huge swing and Casey at the bat style swing and the miss. And like, I was like in shock and covering my eyes at how hard these people were trying to convince me that what they were doing was cool, was fresh, was modern. And I was like, this is embarrassing and is going to age like milk.
Yeah. I was also ready to not. I mean, I didn't hate it. I
Hate is strong for a movie that I was embarrassed by. I can't hate this movie.
Yeah, I wasn't even that embarrassed by it. I think you and I have different sympathies when it comes to swings and misses. I think I'm
Sure.
a little bit more sympathetic towards like faux edgy failed postmodern stuff, and you're a little bit more sympathetic to like big grandiose epic
Earnest
Earnest
expressions of emotion. Yeah. That's actually a good observation.
So I feel like I wasn't like embarrassed watching it. I think there's even like, I would say for like almost maybe 40 minutes, I was like, this is probably a 3-star movie. And then it just kept going. And then the Peter Sarsgaard character came up and it really started to suffer.
See, it's interesting the characters who you think were bad and the ones that I think were bad, because I think they're all bad. But you said that Penelope Cruz was good, and I need to ask, what are you talking about?
I just thought
she's weird.
Yeah, I just thought she was fun. I just liked seeing her on screen. I just like thought in
Love
a movie.
Penelope Cruz.
I just thought in a movie that otherwise I found myself like checking my watch constantly. Like I watched that movie. I went to go see this movie with my wife, and at some point I was like checking. She was checking
with
my
your
watch.
bride.
Yeah, with my bride.
Yeah.
And at some point I was checking my watch, and then she started checking it. And at some point it was just like, it's been 5 minutes. Like nothing has changed. But
Sarsgaard is very bad in it.
Yes, I thought he was very bad.
He's married to the director.
Yes, that's true.
And he's also the best part of The Lost Daughter.
Interesting.
Olivia Colman is really good.
She won an Oscar, right?
She won an Oscar for The Favorite, but she was nominated for that.
Okay.
The Lost Daughter is an Elena Ferrante adaptation by Maggie Gyllenhaal, which is why we're talking about it here. Maggie Gyllenhaal is the director of this movie.
Yes.
Who famously, in another Chicago movie, played opposite Christian Bale, who
that's a
stars
good
in this
point.
movie.
That's a really good point. I completely forgot about that.
I think we both agree Christian Bale is like the most compelling part of this movie.
Yes.
Would you say?
I thought his performance was pretty good, given what he had to work with.
There's like some embarrassing scenes for him, but it's not his fault.
No, it's the movie's fault.
And I almost agree. I almost think the same thing about Jessie Buckley, and we could talk about it because she's hung up to dry a lot in this movie, and it feels like two people telling each other like go for it. Like, it's going to be
Yeah.
so good. And then, like, you know, like, you could see Jessie sort of straining to go for it as she
Yeah.
went along.
Yes.
Yeah.
But Christian Bale, I think he gives Frank a pathos that other actors maybe would have missed. I think there is something like sad about him fundamentally. And I mean, I do kind of an interesting aspect of the movie. Obviously it's playing with the image of the bride at the end of The Bride of Frankenstein. And an interesting aspect of the movie is I think another person doing like a feminist adaptation of The Bride of Frankenstein or of The Bride from Frankenstein, it would have been really easy to make Frank the bad guy.
Yeah.
And I think the one thing I will give this movie kudos about is that it's more complicated than that, you know? And I think like he doesn't end up being just like, oh, like, I thought it was sort of going to be like, oh, she finds out that he brought her back to life and then she ditches him or something and like starts off her own stuff. But it ends up being more tricky than that. It doesn't pull it off regardless. Like, I don't think their relationship makes any sense to me in any way.
No.
But I don't know. I think also I think another reason why I was sympathetic to his performance is because it's just been a while since I've seen him in anything. Like, I didn't watch Amsterdam. And other than that, I didn't watch Vice. Like, I can't really think of the last movie that's come out.
What's the racing one?
Ford versus Ferrari. Yeah, I don't remember if I saw that.
I don't remember if I saw that either.
It did make me realize that it's just like it's been so long since he was in a normal performance. Like, I don't. What is the last?
And this is a really normal performance.
Yeah, and this is a really normal. But
he's
it's just
really
like,
normal in it.
Yeah. I don't know. What was the last like normal Christian Bale performance?
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, Knight
of Cups.
Oh,
Like, he just plays
I
a guy.
love him in Knight of- What's the other McKay? Adam McKay.
Don't Look Up.
No, before that.
There's another one before that. Oh,
Before
Big Short. Big Short.
Yeah, The Big Short. But you know, and there's probably something else that that's obvious that we're missing. But the thing about Christian Bale is that he's inherently weird and lonely, and plays these lonely guys who have an edge to them pretty well. I think his Batman is really interesting for that reason. You know, convincing himself that he's a good guy while also being this weird sort of loner freak. And I think that he brings that edge to this. It's explicitly said multiple times that he's lonely and an incel or whatever. I don't know if he's an incel, but I
mean, he sort of is. That's kind of why he gets the bride. Is
he a volcel? No,
he's an incel.
Yeah, because he's like, no one's ever shaken my hand.
Yeah.
God, this movie's so fucking stupid. Oh my God, I'm sorry. I think this movie's pretty dumb.
Yeah.
Like, I think that it's conceptually dumb. Like I think that like it's paper thin. It's take on feminism. I think that like smarter feminist writers have been writing about this already. I think Mariah E. Gates, who liked this movie, I think about as much as we did, like 5 out of 10 or whatever, has writing on this that everyone should go read. Mariah is incredibly smart. But its take on feminism is really, really thin. Its scenes are really garish. Like, the sexual assault scenes are really haphazardly done.
Yeah.
Its characterization of those scenes are not that interesting. The cop pulling over the bride scene, there's just like these like repeated. There's no like build to them. There's no like thematic weight. There's no feeling of reality or unreality. There's like a lot of references, like we're talking about, like it's like 30s coded, and then it'll just be like, oh, but we're doing a riff on Bonnie and Clyde.
Well, it was set in the 30s, but yeah.
That's fair. That's why they do it. I get it. That's fair. But it's like specifically the 60s Bonnie and Clyde. You know what I mean? Like aesthetically. I don't know. I found this movie remarkably weightless, and
Yeah.
stitched together as if by a Frankenstein,
Yes.
by a Dr. Frankenstein.
Yes.
Annette Bening is really bad in this movie. I have to get
also-
that out.
yeah,
She's
terrible. Terrible.
really bad, and I love Annette Bening. Like,
Mhm.
adore, and that's why I'm like, you know, that axiom, that one performance is a great actor, many great performances is a great director.
Mhm.
What does it mean if there's many bad performances by great actors? So I'm just going to leave the audience to come up to their own conclusions about what I'm saying. You know, when Jeannie Berlin is bad in a movie, it's like,
It's sorry. Do you think Louis Cancel Me is is kind of getting tired of being only playing the most despicable people on the planet?
I think before he like gets a phone call, and he's like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. I'll be a piece of shit. Yeah, that's fine. I'll be a piece of shit. You're right. I want someone to cast him as like a sweetie, like a little.
Yeah, it's so. I guess just like with that name, just like
Yeah.
you gotta
Cancel me.
Yeah, you gotta cancel.
Is it
him.
cancel me?
It must.
Like,
be.
what is the actual,
It must be.
the original? He's from the island of Me Too, off the coast of Italy. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Did you like the aesthetics of this movie?
No. No. Yeah, this movie, you know what this reminded me of? Well, it reminded me of the Joker. Joker
Yeah.
2. But this movie,
Yeah, probably I do.
so something that I think has been that we've sort of forgotten as a culture is, so obviously, 2020, the start of the pandemic, was a huge caused a lot of problems, and one of the many consequences was there was pretty much like there was very little movie production going on during 2020. There were pretty much no movies coming out 2020 because no one wanted to lose on any potential money that they could earn at the box office while all theaters were closed. And I feel like it took a while for movie going and just movie production to like make good movies again. Like I feel like 2020 was like pretty much there was nothing good that came out from Hollywood. 2021 there were like a few things from before the pandemic and after. And it wasn't really until like 2022 the Hollywood movies started to get good again. But I think the lack of movie going in 2020 I think has made us forget how bad movies were right before the pandemic. Like I feel like if you like when I think of like 2019 to March 2020, like other than some like very bright gems, like some movies that I really really love, it was pretty dire. Like things were pretty bad. And this movie kind of reminds me of that period of time. Where it was like everyone was trying to make a political statement, but no one was like really like smart enough or good enough to make it smart. And then everyone was trying to like to fit too many things into a movie. And it just none of them worked out, It kind of, I don't know. I mean, obviously like the Joker stuff is pretty clear. The same cinematographer, I think.
I thought of what's that? The Birds of Prey movie.
I was about to say that this movie.
Yeah.
A movie. I like Birds of Prey. I think.
Yeah,
Birds
I
of
mean,
Prey
again, it's got some stylish moments and some fun stuff. And what's her name? Oh my God, from Final Destination 3.
Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
There we go.
Yeah. I was reminded of, because that movie also feels very like stitched together hodgepodge. That was obviously much more studio interference. I am very curious about The Bride and how much the studio interfered.
Like, I will say this, like, it feels like an era when like studio notes are at an all-time low. Like, again, I think that it's an issue when studios interfere too much and then when studios interfere not at all.
Mm-hmm.
Like this feels like a first draft ass movie, or like the ideas weren't developed enough. You know what I mean? Like
It feels like
there's some
seven first drafts. And
seven
they're
first
like,
drafts
just
stitched
stitch 'em
together,
like a
Yeah.
Frankenstein.
like a Frankenstein, and none of them feel developed. None of them feel deep. None of them, and even if you're gonna be surface level or unsubtle, I'm fine with that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
fuck subtlety, but like, I'm like sitting through that movie. Okay. Let's say some good things about the movie because I don't want to be just too negative. I really like this is the earnest side of this movie when the characters would be arguing and then they'd be in the film
Yeah.
that they were watching. I really thought that worked as a visual motif. Like that's more of what I wanted the movie to be, is a little more pastiche
Definitely.
and like go on these riffs, go on these flights of fancy. And like those are things in like other movies where like I think that they are pretty like like people like to make fun of a lot, like in Shape of Water when they do the dance sequence, you know. Then they do a dance sequence in this movie. I'm like, this doesn't work for me at all. Like, there's nothing about this dance sequence that feels thematically rich or like it's building to anything or that it's reflecting anything at all, other than it's like, what if we did this now? And like every scene moves one after another. Like, what if there was a scene where there's some guys in the club that's like a queer non-binary space, it's seemingly, and then all of a sudden there's these men that are like in and maybe that's commentary, but it feels so like thrown together in such like it feels like a music video more than like a movie. And like, again, if it's a music video, then it's over in 2 minutes.
Mm.
Instead, it's like dragged out over the course of a movie.
It's funny. You started this saying, I would say some good stuff about the movie. And then,
Fuck. God damn it.
But no, I mean, I thought I like some of the dance sequences. I like the one with like at the sort of when he's watching the Jake Gyllenhaal movie and he's in it. And then I liked later on when he meets Jake Gyllenhaal and they do a dance thing. I guess
I don't like the later on when they do the dance thing.
Oh, okay.
When everyone in the party starts dancing like them. No, I hated that.
My fundamental issue with the movie is that it just takes itself so seriously that, yeah, like I wanted it to be more pastiche and I wanted it to be more fun. And that's sort of like what the vibe of the trailers were like. That's sort of like the vibe of the opening of the movie, like makes it like when she says like, here comes the motherfucking bride.
Here comes the motherfucking bride. And she has a British accent, and that's just Jessie Buckley, and then she has like a Chicago accent.
Yeah. I thought that it was going to be a more fun movie, and it just wasn't. It took itself so seriously. And like, it just, I don't know. There's so many, it was just hard to sit through. If I hadn't been in theater and we weren't talking about it for this podcast,
I would have turned it off.
I would have turned it off.
I thought about walking out. So, famously AMC has 1.5 million ads. I told my employees that I'd be back by 9:15. I don't know why I remembered it being an hour and 45 minutes.
No.
It's not. It's fully 2 hours and 7 minutes.
Yeah.
It's long as fuck.
Yeah.
And I was like racing back to get to the theater to help them get that final it was a screening of Angel's Egg that we were doing.
Nice.
And I got stuck behind a freight train that took legitimately took 15 minutes for it to cross in front of me. So I apologize to those who I didn't help. It was so I could watch The Bride. Here comes the motherfucking general manager.
Yeah, it just wasn't fun. It just wasn't, I don't know.
Who should have directed this movie? Like, which, like, stylish, feminist filmmaker would have been great in this?
I mean, who's the director of Birds of Prey? Kathy Ann?
Yeah, I could see that.
But
who would have done an actually, like, thematically rich? Like, even if you take down the budget, you know, like, who's, like, a really, like, which of our modern directors would you like to see take a stab at a Frankenstein story? I guess that's a better question. Not who should have directed The Bride,
because no one else would have wanted to make this movie. You know, it's something Maggie really wanted to do. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not against her doing it.
Yeah,
I will watch her next movie. Because like the things that I was talking about mental health are clearly what her interests lie in The Lost Daughter,
Mm-hmm.
and like complicated women characters, you know.
Yeah, and also it's obviously it's it's steeped in the politics of Me Too and the sort of women that don't the the violence against women that in the 30s especially was sort of brushed aside and no one thought about. Like there's a scene where she's like giving her big monologue, talking, like pointing at all these men, talking about how they're like they beat their wives and no one knows about that.
Is there any resolution with the mob character?
No, because
Not that I, yeah, like it's like sort of like given to, yeah, that one actor.
He's usually good, but he's bad in this.
He's a great actor. Everyone's bad in this. I'm trying to think of some good directors who could do this.
John Magaro.
John Magaro should direct this?
No, he's the guy.
I'm just kidding. I don't know. I keep thinking like, I would watch Claire Denis' Frankenstein.
Yeah, sure. It would be nasty. That's why
it would be
more
nasty and
interesting.
$10 million.
Yeah.
And it would be about like European colonialism in Africa.
Yeah. This also, it wasn't nasty enough. Like I was expecting it to be nasty, and
yeah.
I've seen tweets that that people have had walkouts. I had 2 people walk out of my screening, and I think it was just because it was so fucking long. Like I don't think it was like there was anything particularly disgusting about it. It's
annoying.
Yeah, it's a very annoying movie. There was funny. At some point, my wife and I realized that there was like just like a little kid in the movie theater, like with their parents, but they just like kept getting more popcorn. And it's like, I guess maybe
will this movie be reclaimed by that generation?
I saw someone compare it to the reaction to Jennifer's Body, and I just don't. I think that's a completely different.
Okay, but that's who should have directed this.
Yeah,
I love, she's a visual style. What's her name? Oh my god,
Karen Kusama.
Karen Kusama, Music Box regular, Karen Kusama would have been really great at making this. And again, a lot of her movies are a mess. Like I've seen Aeon Flux, like there's Karen Kusama movies that are clearly tampered with and studio interference and all these things. And I'm not saying this movie didn't feel like that. It didn't feel like a studio breathing down the neck of Maggie Gyllenhaal. It felt like a bunch of yes people gathered around being like, yeah, you're doing so good. Oh my God, you're so good at this. And then this is what comes out.
Well, there was the article where she mentioned that both studio, I think, like producers, and there was a test screening where they had to cut some of the violence off. Like I do think that there was some amount of changes to her original project.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, like there was I think there was some like sex stuff that they cut out and some violent stuff. So that's why I am sort of curious. I think I think the project originally started at Netflix, and then there were some disagreements over the budget, and then Warner Brothers took it over. So I am kind of curious about like the production timeline and how different this is, or how similar this is to the original project.
Maybe in 10 years from now, someone some like young person will be like, this was one of my favorite movies and I'll want to cover it again, and we'll fucking do it again. The music was also the Joker composer, by the way.
Yes. I don't know how to pronounce her name.
Hildur Guðnadóttir. I nailed that.
Yeah.
Wow, that was really good. Do you want to talk about the Chicago-ness of this movie, or lack thereof?
Let's talk about Jessie Buckley for like since we're gearing up for the Oscars. It seems like she's at the head of the race. I've seen some people suggest that this is going to ruin her Oscars chances. I don't
No, there's no way.
I don't think this is her fault. You know?
No.
I saw people talking about her as if like she is the issue with the movie. And like, I don't think so.
That's a little silly.
Yeah. I think
She's doing what this movie wants her to do.
Yeah, it's just like what the movie wants her to do isn't very smart. But I think
or maybe it is similar to Norbit in that way because
the issue with Norbit isn't the acting.
No. It's like, why make this movie?
Yeah.
And why release it right now?
Yeah, I don't know. It's I mean, I thought she was good at what the movie was asking her to do.
Did you end up watching Hamnet?
No, because I don't think I'm gonna everything based on everything that what I've read and what you have told me.
Yeah,
I don't think I'm gonna enjoy it.
I have like 2 or 3 gripes with that movie, but overall was very emotionally involved in it. Or I wouldn't say very emotionally involved. I was on its wavelength for most of its run. I know I have friends who are like completely emotionally wrecked by it, and I didn't feel that same feeling. Especially people who saw that movie early before the hype, I think there is like that awards campaign exhaustion thing that sets in of like, you should probably watch Hamnet 2 years from now. When everything is like, if you don't watch it early, there's really no reason to watch it. There's no reason to watch a ton of movies just to catch up for the Oscars. I think that if you're not covering it, there's no reason to do that.
Yeah. I agree.
And because you're going to end up like with half-baked takes and weird opinions that you'll end up changing down the line anyway.
Yeah.
And like, I saw Hamnet at a very emotionally raw moment when I was moving here. I was still it was in December, so it was before I moved to Minneapolis. And I was in a theater by myself, testing the film early in the morning, which is such a good time to watch a movie. Oh my God. I love watching a movie at like 8 a.m. Just with a cup of coffee by myself, crying in a room, at a theater I was going to be running, on this creative endeavor away from my family, just like Shakespeare. I'm Shakespeare.
Yeah. You just lost your son, Hamnet.
Hamnet. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. What I was surprised by with that movie is how much it is Jessie Buckley's story and how earthy that movie is, how Waldorf it is. Let's just call it as I sees it. How like in tune with like the rhythms of like that sort of natural pagan, British mentality of like, it's so interesting that Chloe Zhao is so interested in those things. And I was very into that stuff. I'm less into Paul Mescal stating lines from Hamnet straight to the camera. Don't need that. That feels like, Jacob Elordi saying Ozymandias in the rafters, where it's like, have them think it and then record their face and then just show me his face. And then later he could be like, I was actually thinking of the to be or not to be scene. I don't need him to say it. I like Hamnet though. As much as I really don't like Nomadland. I dug Hamnet. And I think Jessie Buckley is a great actress. I'm just going to say that like people are being a little bit mean now to like knock her down a peg, it feels, which is part of the natural rhythms. It's like all actors are embarrassing if you have them do acting exercises on screen.
Yeah.
And that's what The Bride is.
Yeah.
The Bride is just a series of acting exercises where it's like, this is never meant for us to see. It's like them like showing Christian Bale doing these primal screams during it's like, I don't need to see him do that. Like, if that's his process to get a good performance, then great. I don't want to know that that's what he did. Yeah. We need to know less about people.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's what I think about Jessie Buckley.
Yeah. It just wasn't. I don't blame her for the performance. Or for the, I guess more so, I don't blame her for the character of the bride, which I think is just not very well thought.
What's the gunk that stains her face?
Some like shit that they put in to bring her back to life, I think.
Okay.
They didn't really explain it. It was kind of
It's not that
confusing.
bad. You know, what did you think about like the Pussy Riot reference and you know all
Pussy
the women
Riot.
who
That's the. You're talking about the Pussy Riot's a band.
yeah, isn't they literally say Pussy Riot and it's like on the cover of a newspaper
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah,
in The Bride.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
so annoying to me.
Yeah, you're right. That was really. That stuff was really. That felt the most Joker because that literally happens in Joker.
I know.
That happens in the Joker, where everyone becomes.
But do you know what movie sucks?
Influenced. Yeah, the Joker.
The Joker.
Actually, yeah.
So I just don't need a movie. I don't need a watered down version of the Joker.
Yeah, because the thing is, like,
The Woker. Sorry.
the Woker, they commit these crimes and inspire these women to become, the bride, but they don't go on that much of a crime spree.
What? Make the movie about that then.
Yeah, it just I feel like they barely commit any crimes. I was at some point I was like, oh, are they going to commit a heist? Is this going to be a heist thing? But no, they don't. They barely they kill a few cops, but like I don't know. It feels like they don't really do that much. It would have been more interesting if it was a more Bonnie and Clyde thing where they go around
where they're committing
robbing
crimes.
people.
Yeah, I think like they're supposed to do that, like when they're at the party and she kills the cop.
But she didn't
know?
mean to, and she feels bad about it, And
Yeah.
like, or when she kills Louis Cancel Me, by ripping his tongue out,
Yeah.
and then she doesn't remember ripping his tongue out because she was possessed by Mary Shelley. I don't. It just doesn't.
I like the image. If we're talking about things I liked the image of her head in the jar.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's cool. There's a few moments that I think are cool. I think like some of the design elements are cool, like when she reaches down and grabs the veil. Like I liked when they first get to the party and Jake Gyllenhaal's there and stuff, and they're pretending to be the waiters and they're walking around like making faces at each other. Like that was a cool sort of idea, and then it just devolves into this acting exercise of the
very
dance.
strange. Yeah. What did you think of Jake?
I liked him. I don't know.
I thought he was good. I think
he's good. I think he's a good actor. And I think he's very clearly working really hard. Sometimes the problem with Jake is that he looks like he's not giving it his all. Like he's like cashing in a paycheck, or that he looks like he's trying too hard.
Mm-hmm.
We've actually covered him before, Paco. I don't know if you remember, in a little movie called Source Code.
Yes, we're actually still in that episode.
And actually, I'm going to hit a button and it's going to reset all the way back to there.
Yeah.
And it's going to go through the bean all the way to... Yeah, that's what this movie was missing. It needed more bean.
Need more source code.
Let's talk about Chicago.
Let's talk about the Chicago stuff. I mean, I will say it's interesting that we just covered The Sting, which is a movie from the 70s about the 30s, but really more about the movies of the 30s. Yeah. And
I kept thinking about you talking about that in our Sting episode.
Yeah. Like that movie isn't, a straight up reflection of the 30s. Obviously, it is a movie about what movies of the 30s are about, and The Bride is, as you brought up, the Bonnie and Clyde adaptation. The Bride is like a movie about movies about the 30s. It's like 4
levels deep.
Yeah.
It's about the women who were inspired by the movies of the 30s, making movies now, who went through Me Too.
Yeah.
Who were inspired by the Ida Lupinos of the past. You know what I mean?
It's like it just doesn't, and it makes it feel almost like it's in a vacuum. Like there's no connection to the actual past. Unfortunately,
that was what I kept thinking, was that like this is definitely the movie made by someone who's been famous for way too long.
Mm-hmm. I could see that.
Like I had a few moments of that in The Lost Daughter, but that's like kind of a movie about, I don't know, that movie has like really great scenes and quiet moments and moments of reflection that this movie just doesn't have time for.
Mm-hmm.
That I think this movie could have honestly, like it could have done with a rewrite or two to make it shorter and then let those moments breathe a little bit more.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or make it kinetic and crazy. Like this movie has the production designer of the Baz Luhrmann movies.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, so like let it be crazy like a Baz Luhrmann movie, and it never is. It's never stylish enough.
No, it never gets.
Especially like the it's a live scene. Like it's like those are always the coolest in these movies. Or that weird scene in Bride of Frankenstein where he comes out his little like figurines and there's little toys of people, and it's awesome. And it's like, where's that?
Yeah.
In this movie, or where's the weird guy in the woods from Bride of Frankenstein? Right? Like this movie seems so uninterested in the movies of James Whale
Mm-hmm.
in a weird way. Which I'm sure, like, if that's the point that like these movies omit the bride character, but like then make it about something.
Yeah.
And instead it's like, well, then she's Bonnie from Bonnie and Clyde. And it's like, well, not really.
Yeah.
I don't know. But Chicago.
Yeah, Chicago's barely in it.
They didn't film a day in Chicago, right?
No, not a single. I didn't even. Did those buildings even look like they were in Chicago? It was very.
No.
It's very little, and especially because it's like, what was frustrating was that it's set in. It's supposed to be also about like the Chicago mob. You make up a mob guy so you can give him Ida Lupina's name, and then you have nothing about like Chicago and its relationship to the mob. Like you don't. I don't know.
Right.
You could just have him be Al Capone.
Like, which scenes take place in Chicago? The club, the non-binary queer.
Yeah, club in the
yeah.
alley club that gets taken over by sailors.
Right. I sound like I'm making fun of non-binary and queer people when I say something, but it's
but no,
not.
that happens.
It's
in the
very
movie.
that is what the movie is. Like
Yeah.
it's like trying to talk about how the 20s and the 30s were a little bit. There was always the subculture. There was always like a I understand what they're trying to go for.
Yeah,
But it's so filled with modern sensibilities where it's like, that's fine too. Like then have it be like, but then it's like, it's mixed in a weird middle ground.
Yeah.
And then it's like violence in these queer spaces always have,
Yeah.
yada, yada, yada. But it's so confused.
I wonder if this movie would be fixed if they just set it in like Weimar, Germany.
That's what it's trying to go for.
Yeah, definitely.
Where there's scenes where it's so clearly trying to be cabaret inspired.
Yeah.
And, like, then it's like either talk about Chicago or talk about Germany or talk about New York. And instead none of it feels real.
Yeah. Very.
I like if we're talking about like Chicago in the 1930s, then like we're talking like University of Chicago. So set it in Hyde Park. Like have it be about the Chicago boys or something, like have it be about like this like era of Chicago's like trying to like spread its
that was
things on the world.
That was later.
That was later.
Yeah.
All right. Well, maybe I don't know what I'm talking about, but like,
well,
there was always stuff happening in Chicago in like in Harvard in sorry, oh my God, Hyde Park, it's University of Chicago in the 1900s, the early 1900s. There was a ton of impact on U.S. politics and
and I mean that was
before.
That was when they were working on splitting the atom. Well, that was later.
Yeah, there was a ton of.
Well, it just the movie has no relationship to
Sorry.
history at all.
That's what I meant. Not the Chicago Boys' economics. The focus on
like science. Yeah.
Yes. Sorry, you're right. I was wrong. But there is something to talk about there where it's like you could talk about what's the doctor? What's Annette Bening's character's name? Cornelia
Euphronius.
Where she could be, complicit in some of, I don't know. Make her a character. Make her someone who lives and breathes in the city,
Yeah.
Instead, she's confined to this tower. And then, like, the most offensive part of this movie is that how weak of a climax it has. It is so. Yeah. Oh my God! Of them going up the stairs, Penelope Cruz going up the stairs forever with John Magaro following her, and then the police just do the shootout like it's
Bonnie and Clyde.
Bonnie and Clyde, and it's just so half-assed.
Yeah, just there's a lot. I guess like there's a lot you can do with Chicago in the 30s. The movie doesn't seem interested in that at all. It also doesn't seem interested in like the tropes of Chicago in the 30s.
Right. The movies that talked about that.
Yeah, like this is supposed to be the Depression. There's no aspect of that in the movie. it's supposed to be, obviously Chicago was pretty much run by the mob during the 30s. Like, this was the time of Al Capone and Elliot Ness and all this shit, and like you don't get any of that. I don't know what was even the point.
Yeah, it's to have the aesthetics of that opening speakeasy, and
Yeah, I guess that's
then
it.
one scene, and then, yeah, I don't know. Her falling down the stairs is really dumb. I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, it looked really bad. I mean, right now I am reading the book Public Enemies, which the movie is based off of. That's set exactly during this time.
Speaking of Christian Bale,
Yeah, speaking of Christian Bale. So I feel like I'm reading this book, so then I was like, oh, it's great. This movie's going to be playing with the idea of like all the fact that there were all these like criminals going around committing all these crimes, Bonnie and Clyde, John Dillinger, all these things. Nothing of it,
yeah, no, I'm very excited to talk about that movie because that movie is very interested in the aesthetics of that time, right?
Yeah, that movie. Yeah, my man is so dedicated to making the past seem real.
Right. But also like with this like new digital technology and all this weird stuff. This movie is just like, I don't know. There's a notorious New York movie theater that makes horrid food creations. Just absolutely garish, awful food creations. It shall go unnamed as I run a movie theater. But they made a very normal food choice for the drink, a corpse survivor, very fun. And then they had a Chicago style hot dog as the food option. What do you think about that? What is your opinions on that?
I mean, yeah, I guess the Chicago style hot dog is sort of the Frankenstein of foods, It's great.
Meaning that there's the parts of many different things shoved into a lifeless case.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's like as like they like looked up the description of this movie and it said Chicago. The same reason why we're covering it.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So,
is that we looked up that it's technically set in Chicago and it's about as Chicago as that blah blah theater serving a Chicago dog.
Yeah. I don't know.
It's a good theater. Their programming is really good and I'm sure they have really smart people, but I cannot get behind serving food in a movie theater.
It's tough. It's like what? I don't know. I don't think I guess I used to when I lived in Madison. I would go to a movie theater that served food, but it was different. I don't know.
No, I mean movie theaters where you eat food. That's the Regal Theater, and you sneak in food.
Yeah.
It's specifically the City North.
Yeah, I think the issue I have with food in theaters is if I'm going to go see a blockbuster, I don't give a fuck if someone is eating a burger next to me or if I'm eating a burger. But if it's a lot of the theaters that serve food, it's like an Alamo, they're trying to do interesting programming. Like I'm interested in
same with
movie.
This theater I'm talking about.
Yeah, like I want to see the movie. Like I'm interested in this movie.
Did you go to How to Blow Up a Pipeline with me?
Yes.
When the Alamo was first opening up in Chicago?
Yeah.
And during the climax, someone came over and was like, is that all? Is that all you would like?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
I think that was the last movie I saw there.
It was the first and the last?
No, I had seen another movie there. I saw like a documentary on environmentalism there, where also they kept coming up to us, be like, "Are you sure you don't want anything?" It's like, no,
no,
I don't.
Stop bothering me.
People just
so now you
died
can
in a
take your
flood.
phone out.
Yeah.
Now you can take your phone out in order. So
yeah. Anyway,
we're living in the death of the movie theater. Anyway,
The
this is a very movie theater movie. This is a very
they see the movies.
Keep going to the movies. There's a drive-in. What do you think about that? I'm running out of things to talk about.
I don't know. I wasn't very. I was sort of interested in the movies he was watching.
Yeah. There's one that's a real movie, right?
Is
the 3D one?
Oh yeah, wait. What is it?
I think the 3D one is a real zombie
White
movie.
Zombie or
is it White Zombie?
It's the other one. There's I think there's another Bela Lugosi zombie movie. I Woke Up a Zombie?
Revolt of the Zombies, I guess is what it is. I didn't know that. It was inspired by White Zombie.
Interesting.
Cool.
Interesting.
Not Bela Lugosi though.
Oh. I think I just assumed it was because
Totally. Okay.
white zombie.
And
Is it-
like in that scene, she's like a defender of the women of, you know what I mean? There's all these things that they're trying to play with, which I like in concept, but in execution, it's just like, I don't know. It just feels very rushed or something, or not that. It's like the least interesting execution of an idea that I like.
Yeah. Apparently it's Bela Lugosi's eyes whenever the zombifying powers are used.
That's cool.
But I think they didn't credit it. I think they just used that because
They just used it.
Is a cheap knockoff. So that's what I saw. Well, another history thing. They're wearing 3D glasses. It was black and white.
No, but that's a thing.
I don't think they had 3D glasses in the 30s.
They did.
I don't think it was till the 50s.
Oh, look it up, Paco. Look it up. History of 3D. There was a few black and white that you could use because it was like a tinted.
Yeah, but it doesn't
color.
mention it on the Wikipedia page that was in 3D.
Oh, well, then maybe not.
Another thing, at some point, Peter Sarsgaard says, like, why can't women be interested in being an astronaut? It's like, you didn't know what an astronaut was back then?
That's true.
There were no
I didn't think about
astronauts.
that.
How the fuck would a woman be an astronaut? There were none.
Again, I don't have an issue with the idea of an astronaut being brought up, but you're not doing anything other than having like these, no one talks like that in the 30s. And then it's like, that's also fine. If it's anachronistic like that, then it's fine.
Yeah.
But then they're trying to,
Do something with
in
it.
some ways, like Jesse Buckley's characters constantly talking in like flapper style or whatever.
Yeah, it just has, it's so tonally inconsistent. It's hard to tell when something is a mistake and when something is supposed to be purposefully postmodern.
All right. So let's wrap this thing up. I'm sick of talking about this movie.
We're talking about this a lot. The Bride.
The Bride. Do you know what I did think about was that scene in Blue Moon where he talked about Oklahoma.
Oh yeah.
And he was like, any movie that has the need to have an exclamation point on the end does not deserve your respect.
True.
So
Okay, I will
maybe-
say one thing that I liked about it,
Yeah, go ahead.
which is I guess sort of near the end of the movie when there's like the sit down with the mob boss and John Magaro and the other guy from earlier in the movie. And the mob boss takes out a gun. And the other guy is like, oh, haha, gun. And then he gets shot in the head.
Shoots him in the head. I know.
Yeah. Did you see Nirvana the band, the movie, the show?
No,
No, the show, the movie.
we're bringing it to the Heights Theater next week. So
Nice.
I have not seen it yet.
There
Does
is
the character get shot in the head?
there's a similar scene, yeah.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
Spoilers.
Spoiler, sorry.
It's okay.
But yeah, that was one part where I really laughed. I think that was my one big laugh in the movie.
That scene was terrible.
Yeah.
It just was atonal. Like it
just doesn't.
Again, I'm usually defending movies like this, so
Mhm.
I understand that I don't hate this movie. It sounds like I hate this movie because I only have criticisms for it, but I was very frustrated by it, and I was very embarrassed for it, and I like everyone involved, and I'm rooting for everybody, which is why I was like, so why are you doing it bad?
Yeah.
So why did you do a bad job if I like you so much?
Yeah. That's a good point. I think that's ultimately what the frustration comes from. It's like, it's not just like, if it was just like a generic shitty movie that I didn't have to think about, I'd be like, whatever, who gives a fuck? But it just, I don't know. Do you have any final thoughts?
It feels like the type of movie that it's going to make it harder for people to make movies, and that's not always the movie's fault. But like, like Jennifer's Body was used to a great movie was used to like not, give the same budgets to women directors. So I want to be able to criticize this movie without it being like nobody gets to make have a big genre swing again,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
that's the thing is like male directors make bad movies every day.
Yeah, definitely.
And this is just a bad movie. It's not anything more than that. It's just a bad movie.
No. And I think the difference between this and Jennifer's Body is that I think Maggie Gyllenhaal will be fine.
Yeah, I think so.
I think that there's just a different, like, coming back to someone saying this is going to be the Jennifer's Body in 10 years. there's a very different cultural conversation happening around Jennifer's body compared to this movie. And
I will say
don't
this
know.
movie did cost $80 to $90 million.
No, it cost a lot of money, and that's why
It's going to make no money.
yeah, we'll see. And it was shot in IMAX. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Did you see that tweet that was like, I got a call. I was the only person who bought an IMAX ticket, and they told me they're canceling the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sucks.
I don't know why you would go the IMAX route for this. Is it just like a post-Sinners thing? Because like that movie was like successful. I mean, that movie's also juggling a lot of tones and occasionally inconsistent, but it's a lot better. But I wonder if it was. I guess that's why they released it now. I guess I don't know when else you would release this movie. You know.
Yeah. Gyllenhaal emphasized the creative freedom granted to her by DeLuca and Abdi. So she had creative freedom.
I guess. Anyway, you have any final thoughts on this movie?
This movie kind of sucks. I would give it 4 stars probably, like The Flag.
Yeah. I was not very impressed by Maggie Gyllenhaal's The Bride, but I'd probably give it 4 stars. Or 4 stitches.
4 stitches. I would give it 4 exclamation points.
Yeah, 4 exclamation points. The Bride.
Please feel free to rate, review, subscribe, follow us on social media. Send us your thoughts on The Bride. And if you notice that a movie was cryptically set in Chicago, even though it was filmed in LA or New York or Romania or, Ireland, like most things are shot these days, please let us know and we'll cover them as a first impressions episode. And thank you so much for listening.
Yes, thank you so much for listening. See you next time for Thief.
Please be considerate when talking on your phone or listening to electronic devices.